Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna and this channel is all about sewing, costuming, historic sewing, history bounding, fantasy clothing, theater costume concepts and general tips and tricks around crafting. Today we're talking about two topics in this video. The first one will be how to approach projects and costumes, and the second will be how do we show character development over a longer period of time in costumes. So with no further ado, let's start. The first one we're talking about is the approaching of costuming. And the most important thing there to say is that there is no correct or right way to approach costuming at all. Because every designer, every tailor, every costumer has a different approach, has different values, different preferences, and they all are very individual. And this is why the first point I like to share is that working in a team of different experienced people for costuming, like there are the women's tailor, the men's tailor, the costumer themselves, there are the leather worker, there are the prop crew, and my approach to that is have them and us work in one room all together, that we can sit in the middle in a circle doing a chat, doing our hand sewing or gluing or whatever the task is at that moment. Because then if we are chatting and there comes along a struggle, we can pronounce it and someone will have an idea how to solve this problem. So there are huge benefits in working together and being open-minded, so that the ego doesn't come between the costume and ourselves, and really considering other opinions that are probably benefiting my project as well. So in the end, we have a way better outcome than if every department works just for themselves. I also wanted to talk about my approach and my values that I consider in costuming at all. Just if you wonder, in the background there are snoring dogs and if you hear them, don't bother. Okay, the first thing that is in value for me is the fabric choice and also the health of the actors. Because there are studies that show that synthetic fibers can contain chemicals that harm the body, especially when they are sweating, when they are warmed up, when they are doing sport. And being on stage is a sport, even if it's singing, it is also a sport, because you are doing so much with your body. And these chemicals usually get out of the fabric with heat. So my approach to every costume is that the first layer that is on the skin is a natural fiber that blocks all the chemicals from getting into the body, because what you put on your body is what you put in your body. You have to be really careful about that. So my point there is that if it's not possible to have completely natural fibers, and usually it's not possible at all because it's way too expensive and some fabrics just don't fall the way synthetic fibers like chiffon or georgette or whatever fabric it is. Every costume should have at least the base layer. Hello, Auri. And this is also my very unwell behaved cat that likes to be in the front. So I make now a... Ja, dann geh runter. No, she's playing. Okay. This is the first approach what I do in costuming. The second value I have that I care a lot about is adjustability in clothing. We as human beings do not have the same body every day. there are a lot of changes in a short period or in a longer period that we don't have a say in. For example, the body of a woman has a 20-day moon cycle. So we have the 4 different stages in the cycle, and the body is different in every week. Our bodies are bloated in 1 week and super skinny and slim in the other week, and this just changes in a short period of time between these 28 or plus minus 5 days. So even if there is not a gaining or losing of weight, there is definitely changes that are visible in the body. What I try with that is that every costume and every also day-to-day clothing is adjustable and can vary between different measurements of the waist or the hips or even the bust. And even if there is a longer period of time, also men and women can gain or lose weight, or someone can get pregnant, and clothing has to provide for all of that. There has to be room for being comfortable in all phases that we face. And my approach to that is having adjustability in measurements of the bust and the waist and the hips, so that every actor and dancer is comfortable with their clothing throughout the whole period. But now, why do we consider the comfort of actors and dancers at all? If we do not consider that, the actors might get uncomfortable and distracted on stage, and this is harming the performance of them. And we don't want that. We want them to be 100% focused on the emotions of the piece, on the singing, and being completely present in that moment, so that they don't have to use half of their brain fixing some of malfunction or discomfort in clothing. And this is also my experience, because when I was dancing and I had malfunctions, or the dress was too long, or the costume was too snug and too fit on the body, I had the problems of I can't breathe enough. So my brain was constantly working in performing and in how do I get air so I can survive that. And this is not beneficial at all. So every costume has to be comfortable for the dancers. The third approach on my costumes are considering the closure of clothing. And there are 4 main components that we can have closures. There are buttons, there are zippers, there are Velcro tape, and there are lacing. Probably also some mixtures between that, but these are the 4 main components that we can make closure of. Also, hooks and eyes is also a possibility, but I consider this also in the area of buttons, because it's putting something together and just leaving it with an eye or with a button. So I just take this more into the button area. And which advantages and which disadvantages does everything have? Buttons are holding a piece together as long as they are not really moving. If there is a tight fit on a garment and we move, this is going to happen. So it's not very beautiful, and now you see a little bit of what I have under this, but I don't care. So if we have a movement, and this is always happening, and this is happening, and here it's happening, and here it's happening, it's not beautiful. So what I like with buttons is to have them more attached to a garment just for the look. And I think it's also quite nice to have buttons, especially on military clothing, that they have these little buttons here, but it is not really closed with that. The second thing is the zippers, and I personally have a really hard vendetta against zippers. I hate them so much because they are ripping, always. You can be sure that every zipper will make problems at a time. If it's that it's breaking, or the little tooth of the zippers are not getting in line, or the glider, I don't know if this is the right word in English, is going up and down, or if it is closing but it's not going back, so that in changing between the scenes takes a little bit more time than expected. So zippers are, for me, the worst thing to put in a garment. If it is just formal wear, or if it is trousers or whatever, there it should be fine if it's like in everyday clothing and you can just exchange it, so there's not a problem. But if you are depending in a short set of time that this thing works, you can expect that it doesn't. So zippers are a non-possible way for me to do clothing. And now comes the third way. This is Velcro tape. Velcro tape does a lot of benefit and also has a little bit of disadvantage. If it's not properly closed, you will see where it is sewn, but you can close it properly. And the advances are that if you have probably a military jacket and you have a Velcro tape under that, so that everything stays in place and you have a lot of movement, this will stay wherever you put it, and there's no ripping, there's no showing. It has to be clean, sure, and you have to clean it every time that there are no hair or other parts of dust or whatever in, so you have to clean that a lot, but it stays. So if you have like this military jacket and you put buttons just for the look, and you have a dancer that moves a lot, then this is the way I like to do that for dancers. In the most parts of costuming, what I like to do is lacing and working also with pleats and adjustability with pleats. So like the trousers that I did in the last video, these are completely adjustable from like 100 centimeters until 60 centimeters. So everything between that in body size is adjustable for these pants. So you can get pregnant, you can gain weight, you can have like a few centimeters more on and off, however you feel it, and it will not have a negative on this garment, and the silhouette will stay. Now, if we want to have a certain shape or silhouette on stage, if it is maybe not the Greek area, more like a Baroque era, where we walk also with big shapes of skirts, there we can use boning. Especially also in concidering or in haute couture, we can have a corset that is fitting on the body and that is comfortable on the body, and on that we can construct boning with another shape, so that if you have an hourglass shape that you want to achieve, but you are more like a piece of wood, then you just add padding and boning so that you have the outline of your hip, and you construct a shape and a line over that so that the garment goes over. And then you achieve this silhouette. So there is no need to put actors and dancers in discomfort to achieve a certain silhouette or shape. And the last and also most important thing for approaching costumes is that you have to balance the vision of the writers and the comfort of the actors and dancers. Just if these two work together, there is magic happening on stage. Actors in discomfort doesn't perform well, and if the vision of the writer is not really more visible just because of the adjusting of the clothing, then it's also not beneficial. So these two have to work together, and if they work together, then we have magic. Okay, let's go into the second topic. We have usually, if we start a scene or a piece that contains 2 acts or 3 acts sometimes, we have an introduction costume that is really connected to the character. So this is usually shown with color, with embroidery, with fabric, with armory, with jewelry, everything that contains to this person. This is the start point. So we get to know this character in this shape. And now we have to look at the situations in the story and how these situations are going to change the person that we met. And there are 3 ways we can have this shown: in adding garment, in changing garment, and in losing garment. And with changing, I mean, if there is a situation, you have the Cyclops scene, for example, where you have fighting and where is struggle, and you have this outfit, and you come out of this and you look wrecked. So the hair should be different. The chlamys or the himation that Odie is wearing at the time, or the armory that he's wearing, should be a little bit more like dirty or a little bit ripped or not in the shape that we met him. And for this we have to continue through all the series until the end, where he gets to Ithaca and Penelope. And there comes a question that I had under my last video, and I appreciate that so much, because every thought that is brought to me, why do you do it that way and not another way? This is also how I can express a little bit more of my train of thought, and also this gives me a lot of opportunity to rethink the whole concept, because I did this all by myself, and how the fabric works, and I didn't have too much input. So if you have questions, if you disagree with something, if you agree or whatever, please put it in the comments so that we can talk. And I like to improve, and I like to consider other opinions, and I'm really glad if you do so. If you have additions or anything else, put it in the comments. I really appreciate that. So the question was, why not just have the actor wear tights? In one part, I talked about it in the last video. If there are fight scenes and the fabric, and they go on the floor and they roll and everything goes up and down, is one thing the modesty of the dancer, but usually dancers and actors are not very they don't care too much about if there is something showing or not, in general. Not everyone, but usually they are very open with everything. So that's not the main thing. But if we have a malfunction happening on stage, then the attention also from the audience is a little bit drawn to this problem. So the attachment and the emotion of the audience is kind of split and taken away, and we want this connection from the audience to the scene so that they can really be in, oh my god, or oh, and they feel it, and the emotions from the actors just go through all the room and have an impact on everyone. And this is the first reason why I add trousers. So there are no distracting from the emotions of the scene, and this is the first reason. And the second reason is the character development. If we just have like 3 different components of the outfits, so that maybe is the chiton and himation, and maybe also a little bit of armory. We don't have too much possibility to remove or change, because there's happening so much in the series where he really gets ripped apart, and this should be also mirrored in the clothing. If we just have these 3 or 4 items, then there is not too much possibility. And also, to jump a little bit ahead, we see some animations where he is starting from the island of Calypso, where he is wearing the chiton and the trousers. So if we add trousers in the end, then we should also have him wear some kind of trousers that are possible to rip apart a bit in the beginning. And this is why I would add the trousers. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this little talk about some of the background of my thoughts and also of some general thoughts. And yeah, feel free to have a like or to write a comment. I am looking forward to it a lot. And yeah, until next time, I wish you a beautiful and crafty day. Bye bye.